Amidst the primal landscape, shaped by the gods themselves, young races have risen, vying for control in a game of dominance and dominion and, well, stocks. Dawn of Ulos is a new game by Thunderworks, and ostensibly is a role-player tale insofar as it takes place in the same thematic universe as many of their games first initially set upon with their debut release, Roleplayer. A curious beast in that from illustration to typography, Ulos screams conquest, which it is. Each game, players expand the territories of 5 fantasy races, increasing their strength as their dominion over that particular race's favored terrain grows, until eventually connecting with other such kingdoms, generating conflict in which one gains control of the whole expanse, the other is wiped from existence, until a rift space is expanded enough to whisk them back from the ether. The thing is, players themselves don't control individual factions. You're merely sculpting the land with a single tile placement from your hand of 3 each turn, covering a matching alignment of terrains on the board. The real meat of the game comes from the ebb and flow of factional power. In addition to your single tile placement, each turn you can purchase cards from factions on the board at a cost that scales with their expanding power. The cards themselves can be played for their faction-specific ability, or otherwise played to boost the faction's strength in conflict, in either case usually returning the cards and reaping the faction's spoils, like power increasing with their standing, and thus the game proceeds with you blessing your deific favor upon the mortal races when low, and cashing out their worship when high. So as far as tiling stock market simulation by way of fantasy area control goes, it's alright. There's some definite tricky stuff you can get up to on your turn. Last game I played, I late game invested heavily in the dwarves, who at the time cost very little, but I linked them up with the extremely powerful elves, and I happened to have an elf card to play which says that after combat, where you normally have to cash in half of the cards you contribute, you can keep an additional card for every 2 elvish power. Well, the elf power was at an all-time high, so not only did I get the spoils for their current standing by playing the card, I was able to contribute 8 dwarf cards to win the conflict, which of course tanked the elves that my opponents had heavily invested in. Then half of the 8 cards would normally be cashed back to the current dwarf standing, but because I played the elf ability, I kept all 8, and their value skyrocketed when accounting for their newly acquired landmass. It was a total coup, and within a turn I brought the dwarves to the end position on the track where the elves had once been, becoming the second faction to reach a legendary status, ending the game. It was all deliberate, tricky, and felt great, except most of the time it doesn't really feel that way. Strategically, most of the time you're just buying some cards, maybe playing a couple cards, and hoping someone does something that makes their value go up. With so many cooks in the celestial kitchen, and often not having tiles to help the factions you most want to help, it's hard to really care about any long-term strategy, and the theme hardly inspires passion either. Supposedly you're shaping this world as the power of the gods, but the tiles you lay look exactly like the pre-existing map. Just a couple millimeters of cardboard thicker, and the artwork for the game, while sometimes it is the best in class that Thunderworks has offered in the Ulos continuum yet, including this red hot cover, which is, my god, one of the best covers for a board game that I've seen in years. It all feels pretty inconsequential to anything that's actually happening at the table. That said, there are high points. Solo is a strong implementation with a surprisingly easy to navigate decision matrix based on cards driving the automated opponent's tile placement and card acquisition, which is always a boon when a game is easy to get to the table, whether you got friends coming over or not. And the game does present an original blending of disparate game components, but the game has neither the minimalism of the finest abstract tile layers, the shadowy economic market control of the greatest stock market games, nor the most standout personality that the setting of Ulos and its Thunderworks progenitor has provided. Undoubtedly, this genre hybrid is going to scratch just the right itch for a few people, and I'm glad that it's going to be there for them. But beyond those few glimpses that I had of true magic coming out of the game and the actual novelty involved in combining these disparate genres, which is no small feat in and of itself, ultimately, it didn't really land for me. And that's our review. But let me know, what are games where you could see it and understand and appreciate the potential, but just the alchemy involved in combining sort of disparate genres didn't hit for you? Put it in the comments below, and as always, thank you so much for watching, thanks for supporting, and thanks for being such a great community. You know that I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald.